All right, so Paul Joseph Watson, or as I like to call him, Paul Joseph Stalin, and as you'll see in this video, I think that moniker still fits, or maybe I'll start calling him Apostle Paul because as you guys will see, Paul Joseph Watson is trying to push conservatives into being more religious, being closer to God, specifically the Christian God. But anyway, I'm doing this because a couple weeks ago, I got a request to just look at this video. It's his video titled Degeneracy. So let's check it out. According to Paul Joseph Stalin, we are in the age of degeneracy. All right, so as we can see, there's a lot of debauchery, a lot of people getting plastered, and I would say, yeah, this is pretty bad. And Paul Joseph Stalin has an issue with this, and I would say he's right to have an issue with this. Now, he's going to offer the solution of social conservatism, which is more God and starting families and all that stuff. And I would say all you need to do to convince someone to not get embarrassingly drunk like this is to say it's not in your own self-interest. And I've been there before. I know a lot of you have probably been there before, where you get too carried away with your alcohol and you lose control. Is that in your best interest to just let go of the wheel and let your emotions take over? Not to mention all of the impacts, the adverse effects that it has on your health. And just the fact that this is really embarrassing. Usually when people get this, just look at these people. Or this guy. Do these people look like happy people? Are you guys proud of yourselves when you have a little too much alcohol and you embarrass yourself like these cats on display in this video? So whenever you're thinking, what is good for me? I don't think getting plastered. Now, I'm not against alcohol, obviously. A drink here or there, having a few drinks with your friends, not bad. But getting this bad, oof. I don't think it's controversial to say that this is not good for you.
Welcome to the age of degeneracy. The number of people dying from drug overdoses in the United States is at its highest level ever. Deaths from alcohol abuse have almost doubled since 1999.
All right, that's pretty bad. I agree. But what's the solution?
Given that America seems to be collectively more inebriated than Hunter S. Thompson on the last day of Wood.
Collectively more inebriated. There's no such thing as being collectively inebriated. If a significant amount of people, if my neighbors get blackout drunk, if they have a little too much alcohol, that's not going to have any impact on my own personal sobriety levels. You can't get drunk by proximity, and this just shows everyone how much of a collectivist goof Apostle Paul is.
Stock, you'd think conservatives would be more vehement in promoting social conservatism.
Here we go, social conservatism. That's the answer, folks.
Instead, they appear to be doing the exact opposite. The mainstream conservative movement appears to be awkwardly crowbarring hedonistic moral relativism into its core message.
Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
All right, so he said mainstream conservatives are trying to crowbar hedonistic moral relativism into its core message. Now, think of any mainstream conservative. Think of, Dennis Prager and all of the goofs over at PragerU, Big Ben Shapiro and all of his buddies over at Daily Wire, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Tommy Lahren, Lauren Chen, Charlie Kirk and all of his boys over at Turning Point USA, Steven Crowder, Glenn Beck, even the up-and-coming guys, again, like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, is the first thing you think of when thinking of these conservatives? Is it hedonistic moral relativism? Is that what Turning Point USA is promoting at their college events? Is that what Prager University is making their videos about these days? Hedonistic moral relativism. The last fucking thing that comes to mind when I think conservatism is hedonism or moral relativism. But this is the false alternative that Apostle Paul over here is presenting us. It's either social conservatism and all of the baggage that comes with social conservatism, or it's hedonistic moral relativism and all of the drugs and alcoholism that comes along with it. Apparently, those are the only two options.
In a desperate attempt to appeal to younger voters.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Completely jettisoning social conservatism in the process. At this point, what are you even conserving?
You don't have to be Christian to be conservative.
Ah, yeah, Kathy Zhu, because when I think of American conservatism, Kathy Zhu is the first person that comes to mind. Way to make a mountain out of an anthill. By the way, just to make things clear, I'm not here trying to white knight for conservatism, but this analysis of conservatism, conservative thought, is incredibly exaggerated.
You don't have to be pro-life to be conservative. You don't have to hate weed to be conservative. You don't have to be straight to be conservative. You don't have to be traditional to be conservative.
Hello, my fellow conservative people. Now let me explain how being a liberal makes you a conservative. Your kids are being re-educated by predatory drag queens about non-binary genders, snorting ketamine and twerking. Abortion has gone from being a shame.
Ah, yes, conservatives. They're completely crickets on abortion. You barely hear conservatives ever talking about abortion.
Full last resort.
Again, what an incredibly exaggerated analysis. And we're like, what, 2 minutes into this?
To a celebrated sacred virtue, and family units bonded by faith have been replaced with atomized, drug-addled, broken.
Family units bonded by faith. Is that what should keep families together? Religion, God. What a wonderful reason to love your family and take care of your kids. Because God said so. Also, having a family and having kids and going to church is not a guarantee that someone won't hit the bottle or try drugs.
Homes. But hey, those GDP numbers are still looking quite good, so fuck it, right?
Yeah, as if the gross domestic product and economics are irrelevant. But keep this in mind, folks.
My daughter gets jailed for dealing drugs to pansexual college kids at a gay pride parade because she couldn't afford her third abortion. At least I'll still have my rugged individualism. I mean, why?
Yeah, you dumb conservatives. Stop yammering about my rugged individualism. I guess rugged individualism needs to go in the trash with the way Apostle Paul mocks it as if it's no big deal. Individualism is a good thing. Independence is a virtue that people should want. Yeah, independence is a great thing, and it's one of the few good things that some American conservatives at least pay lip service to. But again, apparently it's not that relevant.
Not capitulate.
To Apostle Paul.
On every last single social moray, given that you've thrown the towel in on virtually everything else. American conservatives would personally dress up in drag and read books to children if they thought it would raise the GDP. Why, yes, I'm pro-choice. Why, yes, I support LGBT. Why, yes, I do smoke weed. Why, yes, I am an atheist.
Here we go. Atheists are not allowed in the big conservative tent. Now, Candace Owens, a few months ago, said that atheism and leftism are a package deal. And here we have Paul the Apostle following in Candace Owens' lead. Guys, this is a reason why Silicon Valley millionaires happily vote for people that raise their taxes. You know, people ask me often, why do rich people in California and people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, why do they vote for Democrats? Well, this is a big reason why. It's bad enough that conservatives look like total clowns with the way that they emphasize religion, but now they're starting to take it a step further. This is the young and cool and hip and up and coming conservatives like Paul Joseph Stalin and Candace Owens saying that atheism, secularism, not cool, man. But hey, if this is the landfill you guys want to die on, be my guest.
That's right. I'm a conservative! If you are all those things, then fine. But you're about as conservative as Myra Hindley is kind to children. If you only knew how bad things really are. If you only knew how many Christian conservatives engage in the kind of lurid behavior that
yeah, so Christianity, it's now a requirement for conservatives. What a surprise.
Would put any hedonistic leftist to shame. If you only knew how many of them posture as role models for young men while living the very lifestyles that wreck young men's lives. I'm trying not to sound too preachy, but if
Not trying to sound too preachy. Well, try a little harder there, Father Coughlin.
you're gonna grandstand all day about embodying the antidote to amoral, impetuous libertinism, about being a fine, upstanding conservative, then start living like one. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out from time to time and have a laugh and a drink with your mates. Believe me, I'm no Mother Teresa.
Oh, yeah, he's no Mother Teresa. Well, why not? Here Paul is demanding that conservatives be more Christian and more conservative by his own garbage definition, and then immediately walks it back. Why? Why is Paul the Apostle spending all of his time making YouTube videos where he often mocks the poor and the downtrodden when he should be in Calcutta pouring soup into people's bowls and telling sick people to reject modern medicine?
bathed in the worldly waters of the profane on many occasions. But when public intoxication and gratuitous debasement becomes the defining characteristic of Western masculinity, something's gone horribly wrong. Most guys think it's manly to pound beers all weekend, but then they can't run more than a couple of miles or hammer out 25 push-ups.
Okay, again, this is good stuff. Yeah, you should focus more on your fitness than getting shit-faced. But again, do you need God? Do you need religion to get a gym membership?
The promotion of binge drinking as manly
You don't need Jesus Christ to start doing CrossFit or yoga or whatever the cool thing is these days.
is a marketing ploy to trick young men into forking over their
I hesitated there because I'm not a fitness expert, and I've heard bad things about CrossFit. So don't take that as an endorsement for CrossFit.
Hard-earned cash to a giant corporation. Beer literally converts testosterone to estrogen in your body and gives you bitch tits. So why is its overconsumption being promoted as a masculine trait? Degeneracy is a broad topic, but at its core you'll find alcoholism. And nobody does alcoholism quite like the British. Brits have the worst drinking problem in Europe.
Again, yeah, binge drinking, alcoholism, yeah, it's bad, but why is Christianity the answer?
Over 1 million of them are drinking at levels that will knock 2 to 3 decades off their lives. Researchers describe this group as the most severely affected population of alcohol users, chronically intoxicated, to the extent that their organs are being poisoned and their perception is impaired on a daily basis. Unlike virtually every other country in the world, Britain is unique for having women who consume as much alcohol as men. This is a depiction of English public alcoholism in the 18th century. This is a depiction of English public alcoholism in the 21st century. Wow, we've come such a long way.
Yeah, the UK has come such a long way. When's the last time there was a great stink of London? What was it, 1846, 1848? But apparently, a few Brits getting hammered completely negates the high standards of living and other achievements Britain has made over the last 300 years.
Walk through the centre of any UK city on a Saturday night and you'd be forgiven for thinking you'd stumbled onto the set of 28 Days Later.
I can see them, they're coming! Ah!
Yeah, Jesus totally would have stopped that. Again, so this crazy drunk in London, this totally makes 2019 London barely noticeable from 1737 London.
What's the matter with you? Oh!
the crescendo of
Again, barely noticeable from 1737 London.
Mindless, screeching, scantily clad, shit-faced women and salivating, aggressive, vulgarian young men combines to create a kind of debauched, jarring cacophony that sounds like it's been ripped straight from a Lucio Fulci horror movie. In England, there is scant difference between the sound of people enjoying themselves and people being murdered.
Uh-oh, guys, the public trash can is overflowing with McDonald's wrappers. Quick, everyone go back to church.
How about new?
If the English disease used to be football hooliganism, it's now been replaced by hooliganism of a different kind. A putrid, visceral onslaught against everything that's pure and decent. But Brits aren't content
Pure and decent by what standard?
with keeping their degeneracy in-house. No. They export it all over the world.
19,000 people sought consular assistance last year, according to the latest figures by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, into British behaviour abroad.
One of their favourite things to do is to get drunk and urinate on war memorials. According to the mayor of Riga in Latvia, this is their speciality. Brits also love to inflict their barbarism on Spain, where residents in Mallorca are so sick of their loutish behaviour, graffiti has appeared.
Remember, folks, if you're going to travel abroad and have some fun, remember to drink responsibly and don't be a dick.
All over the capital, which reads, "Tourists go home," and "Tourist, you are the terrorist." In Barcelona, locals staged huge protests demanding British people leave. ISIS expressed their distaste by slaughtering a bunch of Brits on a beach in Tunisia. That was a bit much.
Oh, wow. Look at Mr. Western Civilization over here throwing Brits under the bus because they partied too hard in Tunisia. I guess that's why ISIS wages war. It's because they're so damn tired of English people getting a little too carried away with the booze. Of course, if ISIS ever gets their way and establishes a global caliphate, alcohol will be forbidden like it is in other Sharia law countries like Saudi Arabia, which would probably be heaven for someone like Paul Joseph Watson.
Is it Benidorm? It's like the human equivalent of one of those safari parks where monkeys sling shit at you, furiously masturbate in front of your children and steal your windscreen wipers. Only with British people. Lovely. Meanwhile, in a Magaluf nightclub, a British teenager was filmed performing oral sex on 24 men
If only she lived like Mother Teresa.
in return for a free holiday. She ended up winning a $5 cocktail. Why do you think giant transnational corporations and the elitists who run them constantly promote binge drinking, lottery tickets and gambling? To make vast amounts of money, yeah, but it's also to ensure that the underclass remains mired in its own self-indulgent, self-destructive deterioration.
And now he's demonizing corporations, the transnational corporations, and what he calls the elite. And yeah, this does not sound like a bread tube communist at all. But apparently, all these transnational corporations like Lego, Disney, Toyota, Nintendo, Chipotle, Nike, Southwest Airlines, FedEx, Verizon, they're all in a back room somewhere plotting to keep the underclass down by promoting booze and cigarettes. God, I swear this guy hates capitalism as much as the Young Turks.
Remains mired in its own self-indulgent, self-destructive deterioration. It's kind of hard to be upwardly mobile when most of your time is divided between pissing away your disposable income in the betting shop, being completely paralytic.
I guess people, they don't have free will. If you're born, if you're in the underclass, so to speak, and even in a mixed economy, you just have no way. You're just, your actions are at the mercy of corporations who might brainwash you with propaganda that encourages you to gamble and smoke cigarettes and binge drink.
And waking up in a pool of your own vomit. And despite there being no widespread binge drinking culture in America, when you extrapolate out Americans' drinking habits, about half of American women would be considered alcoholic, and about 70% of men.
And again, it's all the corporations' fault because people can't think for themselves apparently.
Would be borderline or alcoholic. So-called deaths of despair.
I guess right there was. I guess video games are encouraging binge drinking.
Deaths from suicide, drug and alcohol abuse kill more Americans than those who died during the Vietnam War or at the height of the crack epidemic. Deaths from despair have doubled from 22.7 deaths of despair per 100,000 Americans in the year 2000 to 45.8 per 100,000 in 2017, easily eclipsing all prior 20th century highs. The US suicide rate in 2017 was 33% higher than just 20 years ago. Opioid deaths claim 100.
Again, this is all bad stuff, but I don't see how Jesus is going to fix all this.
30 lives every single day. What's driving the despair? Increased availability and addictiveness of drugs caused by lax drug laws, something this new breed of hedonistic conservatives seem to support. Collapsing birth rates and declining marriage rates, something this new breed of hedonistic conservatives seem to support.
Yeah, guys, if you're struggling with alcohol, just put down the bottle and find a woman to impregnate, because that will magically make all your problems go away.
Increasing secularization, something this new breed of hedonistic conservatives
Oh no, not increasing secularization.
seem to support, and social media, which when it comes to giving them carte blanche to do whatever they want, my private company, is something this
Here we go. Private property rights also go in the trash, with along with GDP and rugged individualism. Now, GDP is an irrelevant statistic, or as he makes it sound like it, but he'll happily rattle off some statistics about alcoholism and deaths from despair and suicide, and blame it all on corporations in the absence of God.
new breed of hedonistic conservatives seem to support.
Hedonistic conservatives.
What fantastic advice does that legacy bastion of conservatism, the National Review, have for its readership? Many of whom are at huge risk of becoming another death of despair statistic. Lift weights? Go to church? Have babies? No. Watch more television! Obey, consume, conform. It really
Yeah, that's right. Obey, consume, and conform. It's all bad unless you're obeying Jesus or your local priest. Then it's the best thing on the planet. Also, there's nothing wrong with enjoying television and movies. Art is essential for living life. And most TV today sure beats the piss out of reading the Book of Noah. Although the tweet he mentioned had Game of Thrones on display, which probably triggers Paul with the way they used the high sparrows to show how destructive his goofy-ass religion is when it's taken too seriously.
Boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism. There are no limits.
It figures it would be something like this.
Another factor that drives despair amongst working class whites and leads them to alcoholism is stagnant paychecks and diminishing economic opportunities.
Despair amongst working class whites. Interesting how he singles out whites for this statistic, and now he's rattling off more economic statistics. So again, the GDP, who cares? But the stats that Paul Joseph Watson, Paul the Apostle's rattling off, those are the stats that really matter. Pretty convenient with the way this guy cherry picks.
Which is why they voted for Trump. Strange then that the Trump administration continues to import more than 1 million legal immigrants every single year, something that exacerbates that problem. But to maintain their own hedonistic lifestyle of decadence, the elite needs a steady supply of mass immigration. Servant class jobs, which exist largely to cater for the needs of the elite, are booming in America.
Oh no, you guys, we gotta shut down immigration, legal immigration, so that working class whites can get back to massaging feet for money.
Massively outstripping overall job growth. This sector grew 100.
So he's complaining that legal immigration is taking jobs and opportunities away from working class whites, and then the example he gives is beauty salon work, massaging feet, pedicures. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
14% between 2008 and 2018, while overall US jobs grew just 7% in that same period. The ultra-wealthy needs to keep importing their wage slaves to massage.
Oh God, wage slavery, what a dumb concept. Again, this guy hates capitalism as much as Kyle Kalinske.
Pedicure them, because you've got to look good for that date with a $2,000 escort girl or that exclusive trip to Orgy Island, and for young people the picture is even less rosy. Amongst millennials there's been a 47% increase in major depression since 2013.
Man, millennials, they'd be so much less depressed if they just went back to church and started a family.
2007 to 2017, adults
Because again, having a family, that will prevent you from being depressed.
aged 18 to 34 saw a 69% increase in alcohol-related deaths, a 108% increase in drug-related deaths, largely fueled by the opioid crisis, and a 35% increase in death by suicide. But can you really blame them for rushing to the refuge of an inebriated stupor? given the example that older generations have set. It is not the young people that degenerate. They are not spoiled till those of mature age are already sunk into corruption.
Again, I don't disagree with Paul on all these problems, but blame it on what? Atheism? Hedonism? And offering religion and statism as a solution? Absolutely ridiculous.
Student loan debt, unaffordable housing, and the disintegration of entire communities, familial or religious, with whom they could share their burdens. All those factors can be blamed on boomers, many of whom are now too busy being off their
I guess boomers are to blame.
faces on fentanyl and couldn't give a shit. Another reason why we appear to be more susceptible to degeneracy than ever is that we have too much time on our hands.
Oh no, not too much time. Can't have too much time on your hands, or else you'll just start hitting the bottle and doing horrible things, devolving into degeneracy. If you ask me, having too much time is often a good problem to have. Here's a thought: if you have too much time on your hands, read a book, or learn to play an instrument, or pick up some extra hours at work if you're able to. Maybe pick up a second job. Maybe visit some friends and family, or learn to cook some new meals. But apparently, if you have too much time on your hands, you're doomed to depression and alcoholism and drug abuse. Unless you fill that time with God.
This spare time will only increase with automation. Will universal basic income and a 15-hour work week really bring us happiness? Or merely more?
Bring us happiness? Well, happiness has to be achieved on an individual personal level. It cannot just be given to you by outside forces like automation. What a second-handed clod.
Or opportunities to wallow in the existential dread of our own meaningless vacuity.
The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
There is a
Yeah, that disastrous industrial revolution.
A hope that we will work less. Yet
oh God, now he's citing a communist to support his argument? Way to own the left here, Paul.
Any new stupid forms of amusement might fill our free time. I still believe in work and creativity. If we do not have enough things to do, even if we will feel happy just sitting, watching films and drinking, it will be a very stupid existence.
Again, this guy's a communist.
It will soon get dire. But Paul, the freedom to be
Oh yeah, now freedom goes in the garbage. Again, along with individualism and property rights. The contempt for atheism doesn't surprise me that much, but freedom and individualism? Just wipe your ass with the Constitution while you're at it.
Soulless husk of a human slaving away at a corporate job to make ends meet so that you have enough money to blow on stimulants. Some freedom. Would you give up this for this? Would you give up this for this?
Bunch of false dichotomies, it looks like.
Would you give up an endless cycle of nihilistic barren distractions for authentic life-sustaining
Paul's one to call others nihilists.
happiness? Apparently not. But hey, if the situation was hopeless, their propaganda would be unnecessary. And don't get me wrong, pathological progressivism is as much to blame as anything else. Did you hear about this new sexual fetish? Couples repeatedly getting pregnant, then having multiple abortions. What a time to be alive. Question regarding abortions and breeding fetish. I have a female friend who has a really powerful fetish for breeding. She has never used any type of birth control. She is with a male partner currently who is just like her, into breeding, and they've been practicing their fetish for quite a few abortions. I know this fetish. My girlfriend and me have the same fetish. My girlfriend enjoys her pregnancies, and
you hear that, folks? Because some people have some appalling and disgusting fetishes, you gotta go back to church and give up whatever freedom you have left.
She enjoys the abortion. Her preferred date for the abort is between 20 and 24 weeks of gestation. I enjoy it to make her pregnant, and I enjoy the time of her pregnancy. She has no menstrual period, and she is sexual, very active. Sexuality without prevention is very emotional and inexpensive. In the last 10 years in our relationship, we have done 7 aborts. And my girlfriend is pregnant again with a little girl. Abortion fetish is a great method for birth control. Do not be angry about your girlfriend, but let them enjoy their pregnancies. This is what a baby looks like at 20 weeks. That's halfway through the pregnancy. They have ears, toes, fingers.
Yeah, and these fetuses also have a larger brain than Paul Joseph Watson.
Feel pain. It is good and rare to hear of a couple, both man and woman, where both members are into abortion and pregnancy. This is a wonderful and...
Again, he's talking as if conservatives are not already obsessed with outlawing abortion.
Potent example of personal...
Have you read these abortion bills that have passed in various states in America, in Ohio and Alabama? And I think Georgia too. But again, apparently conservatives, they're completely crickets on the issue.
Power, where sex meets violence and creation combines with destruction.
Thank you for sharing your exciting romance and would like to know about how this latest abortion was for you. I can imagine that it's a very bonding experience between you and your partner.
Deliberately creating a baby, letting it almost fully develop, then wantonly murdering it to satisfy some deranged sexual fetish. Wonderful! Breaking Iceland's new liberalised abortion law has gone into effect. Women are now able to access abortion on request up to 22 weeks of pregnancy, and minors are no longer obligated to obtain parental or guardian consent. Disgusting.
Nah, delicious. 7 billion is too many. We should scoop the little fuckers' innards out and mail them to your kind.
Thanks for that ringing endorsement, Alice. But who needs babies when you can blow half your income on some 40-year-old cam girl to strip for you on the internet? Speaking of degenerate fetishes, listen to this.
I came out to my family about my fetishes and I've never felt better. We were halfway through dinner when I had worked up the courage to come out to my father, mother, sister and brother as a toilet slave. My sister left the table angry. My brother, in his normal insensitive way, just laughed. My mother and father looked concerned, so I explained to them that everything was fine and that being a toilet slave only meant that I derived pleasure from a woman.
This guy is such a wannabe philosopher king.
Defecating and urinating in my mouth.
They seemed confused, but also accepting of their toilet slave son, which makes me emotional just thinking about it.
How about furries deliberately getting their hands amputated so they can satisfy their paw fetish? Where's that meme of God pressing the reset button when you need it? There it is. So...
Oh, again, he's one to talk about nihilists as if it's a pejorative, which it is.
In summary, everyone's atomized, disenfranchised, depressed and lonely, mainly because of modern technology, the loss of faith, and the complete failure of hypercapitalism to enrich their lives with any purpose or meaning.
All right, so now technology and hypercapitalism and the loss of faith, they're to blame for all of the problems in the world, along with secularism and corporations, while throwing individualism and freedom and property rights in the garbage. And he tries to justify this with faith and mysticism, with a sprinkle of communist intellectuals.
What a sick joke!
And Paul the Apostle tries to present himself as some sort of champion of Western civilization. And truth be told, if the lights ever do go out in the West, it will be because of mystic collectivist goofs like Paul Joseph Watson.